Hello again, America. This video will be in response to my first troll. I'm actually very happy I've got my first anti-gun troll. Most people would look at this, why are you happy about a headache? Well, simple. This video is called the need debacle. What do I mean by that? Simple. When watching the media, whether it be written, broadcast over the internet, broadcast over television or radio, you'll notice that those who are rich and powerful and those who are elected officials tend to ask, why do you need X? Why do you need Y? Well, let's look at the state of the nation. Alright, if you're of the working class at the very least, you can afford your needs. Basic human needs are very simple. Food, water, shelter. Very simple. Same needs we've had for the beginning of our existence till now. People ask, okay, those needs are met. But we live in a nation not of needs, but of wants. Good example, defense. This is my big, scary assault weapon, my AR-15. It's not an assault weapon, it will never be one. Magazine is empty. Firearm is empty. Weapon is safe. Magazine will go back in the weapon for visual aesthetics. Alright, why do I bring this out again? It's really quite simple. My need for home defense is covered. Covered well. And they would dispute that, well, you do not need this. Well, that may or may not be true. They'll debate that you don't need a 30-round magazine, that you don't need buttstock that contracts or expands. You don't need forward grips, you don't need a pistol grip, you don't need a flash hider, you don't need a flash light. Well, this may be true. But, as I said, we are a nation of needs, not wants. If we have a need that's covered by something, we are tuned to seek out something more efficient, something that is better. It's the whole reason for the automobile industry. If we were a nation of needs as opposed to wants, that entire industry would have began and ended with the Model T. It did not, and here we are. The housing industry wouldn't exist. We'd all live in cubicles. But this is my home. I like it. I like to think that this is a warm and inviting environment for anyone who steps through its doors. Anyone who is invited here, you're family. I will treat you as thus. If you're not invited here, well, that's what this lovely device is for. Needs for food and water. Well, hydration can be met via water, and food, well, they would have us eat nothing but bread. So we'd be back to a bread and water, solitary, prison-like existence, a very Bastille existence at best. Sometimes a guy doesn't want water. Sometimes a guy wants a diet drink. The tape is there because I don't advertise, not unless paid really well, and something I plan on utterly endorsing. Diet drinks, I don't endorse. I don't endorse standard drinks either. It has to be something I genuinely stand behind. Alright. The troll in question managed to try to bash me through insults and derisive comments based on the fact that I quote-unquote live with my mother and then proceeded to knock my shelves. Those are mine. I like them. They were created by a neighbor of mine, a woodworker, who made fine things, such as this, hand-carved. He was an artist of rather fine skill, and a very good man. I was proud to have him as a neighbor. I miss him. He passed away due to cancer. It was a good fight, but unfortunately, when our time comes, our time comes. I do miss him. Those who ask the "why do you need" equation never do it out of altruism. They do it out of greed, out of mistrust, and their own personal goals. When you hear this question come out of a celebrity, a news anchor, or written down by a journalist, ask yourself, well, Mr. Journalist, Mrs. Celebrity, Mr. or Mrs. Paparazzi, or whoever they may be, why do you feel the need to be a millionaire? Why do you feel the need to broadcast yourself all across the nation and at times the world? Why do you feel the need to put yourself above, in your mind at least, the average everyday citizen? Or, my favorite question, why do you need, quote unquote, to hire armed security and arm them with fully automatic weapons, which were taken on the sly, that the government kindly passes a blind eye to? Weapons that no standard civilian could get. It's a question that should be on your lips. Doesn't have to be. It's your choice. I encourage free thought. That's why I'm letting the troll's comments stand. But there's a little interesting thing about our troll. It brings up a second point. All of those that are vehemently anti-gun, anti-Second Amendment, anti-self-defense seem to be the most irrational and violent-tempered people I know. Best case example, I'll put in a link down below, but AmmoLand, a pro-gun website, managed to post a quote that, quote unquote, all those in favor of gun control should be tied to the back of a Chevrolet truck and dragged around a parking lot until their views change. Even in jest, that's very harsh. That's not rational thought. That's violence. That's violence of a rather disturbing level. Piers Morgan, he had one guest who was anti-Second Amendment. On his program state that he should face Alex Jones in a one-on-one match and pull out a concealed firearm and shoot him. Now, I will go on record saying that I utterly despise Piers Morgan, and I'm not a fan of Alex Jones. They can say what they want to say, but I don't like either. That's okay. We live in a nation where we're allowed that choice. We're not controlled drones. We are free thinkers. We're allowed to think what we want to think. We're allowed to say what we want to say. These rights are protected by our Constitution. Whether you believe in a maker or not, these rights are inalienable. They cannot be taken away. They cannot be stripped. They cannot be put on hiatus, put on a lockdown, or suspended. These are our rights. It is what our very nation is built upon. Those people who wished violence are broadcast on national TV. They are broadcast in the media. There was an anti-gun rally set to happen in Illinois. Well, to counter that, thankfully, we have people who are voicing their opinion, like you, like me, for the right to carry in Illinois. I dearly hope that this passes. They also have people rallying to bring about their knife laws. Their knife laws disallow the use of automatic knives, such as out the fronts. Some states do this. Well, out the front knives are rather useful for EMTs and others that need to cut seat belts or anything that may cause blockage to the patient or blockage to an airway. They don't take up much space. They're very nice to have. Necessary? No. There's other tools for that. But, as I brought forth, we are a nation of wants, not needs. Needs are covered. This video is to congratulate you. Thank you. Thank every last single one of you who watches my videos and the other videos on YouTube, usually from better videographers than me. I just thank you for enduring these videos. We seem to be gaining steam. It's good. People are contacting their congressmen and senators. As always, until we are through this fight, I will post the link down below to contact your congressmen and senators. For the quote that AmmoLand brought up, I will post that link as well. Thank you. Let's keep this fight up. We can't get cocky. We can't lie down. We must continue if we want to enjoy our rights. And this video is also to bring up an important point when it comes to contacting your congressmen and senators. Let's bring this up. This is yet another AmmoLand link, but these are right here. This is basically NRA ILA, sorry. NRA ILA is their legal arm. If you're going to donate to the NRA in any way, shape, or form right now, donate to the ILA. Go onto their website, look up NRA ILA. That's their legal arm. If you donate to them standard, it will be split amongst their funds. But right now, we need the money to go towards their legal arm. Please do so. I encourage you. There's also the Second Amendment Foundation. I highly recommend them as well. Rather good. And if you happen to be Jewish, there's Jews for the Preservation of Firearms. Great group. Alright, these are the current pending bills which are about to go in. I'm going to read this, even though this is an unscripted video, to let you know what to tell your congressman to vote against and what to try to stop. Alright. Movement number 1, H.R. number 138. That's H as in Harold, R as in Robert, 138. Would ban the transfer or possession of standard capacity magazines, targeting those that hold more than 10 rounds. This visual example, this would be yet another magazine ban. Alright, H.R. 141. Would impose federal regulation of gun shows. Legislation would require background checks on all gun sales at gun shows, and impose additional federal regulations on these local events. Alright. This is actually a very important one. Those not informed would love to call forth the idea of the quote-unquote gun show loophole. Note, I did the whole quotey fingers for one simple reason. There is no loophole. There never has been since the 1980s. If you own a firearm such as this, which, let's put the magazine back in, oh, wrong side. Proof that this is one take and I do no edits, because if I didn't, you wouldn't see something quite that stupid. Alright. Back to the point at hand. It is my solemn right as an American citizen to be able to sell anything I own, to be able to buy anything that is available on the market. I should be able to sell this to a friend or loved one. I should be able to pass this down to a friend or loved one. The purchase of a firearm should require a background check when you're buying it from a store. Now, as for a personal citizen to personal citizen, private citizen to private citizen sale, all that should be required is that both copies keep the bill of sale. That way there's no disputes, there's no arguments, there's no legal hassle. It's done very simply. I know the person I am selling to is legally able to purchase a firearm. He's used a firearm that I own, and if I am willing to sell, alright, it should be as simple as, there's the gun, I'll take my payment. It's not a problem. Criminals don't take that route. Criminals don't abide by the law. That law is there, so we could easily sell things like, say, a TV or the cross behind me. Somebody like my porcelain cross up there, I could easily ask for it, and I wouldn't have to do any registration or paperwork. Same goes for this couch. Same goes for this house. The house, they would have to basically do paperwork saying, okay, they own the land, or I could just sign a renter's agreement. I don't need nationwide paperwork to sell my house. Alright, back from that, H.R. 142 would ban internet or mail order ammunition purchases, requiring a federal license for all ammunition sellers and mandate of reporting bulk ammo purchases. This should disturb you on one simple level. This means that they actively want market control, illegal market control. They want to say you can buy X on the internet, but you can't buy Y. Well, this allows them to say, okay, so you can't buy ammo over the internet, and okay, we'll register how much is sold over the internet. Should they allow you to continue to buy it? Alright, well, here's the problem with that. They can start, once they introduce that wedge, they can easily spread that wedge out to cover things such as electronics, medical goods, things that you need. Ammunition on its own can't really harm anyone unless it's exposed to a fire. Ammunition on its own is of no real concern. And as a citizen, I should be allowed to buy ammunition for the firearms that I own. Does that mean I have malcontent or I have a malign intent? No. It just means I want ammo. I could use it to practice. I could save it away for a rainy day and invite a couple friends out to the range and all of us barbecue and shoot some paper. I don't see the problem in that. Ammunition regulation is even more devious than firearms regulation. For the simple fact they're stating, okay, well, you can own X, but you cannot own Y. And they're going to use that to push the gap further. They want complete control. That one just ain't about firearms rights, folks. That one is about control, plain and simple. Back to it. HR 21. That's HR 21 would ban all private firearms transfers. This is a problem. This basically states that you have no right to sell what you own. Once you die, we destroy what you own. If I have a son or daughter, I could not pass this down to them. Well, I have a problem with that because I bought this and I want it to remain in my family. Yet again, we go back to the wedge discussion. They can basically state, all right, well, we've got the right to sell this, we've got the right to sell that. Let's say they propose a ban to that right. That gives them the wedge they need. Okay, say I can't hand down my firearms to my next of kin. Alright, how long do you think it's going to be until the government decides in a massive land grab they say, no, you can't hand down this house that is around me, this land that is beneath me, to your next of kin, to your descendants. It is now property of the government. Don't believe it can happen? They have tried it before. Look up Manifest Destiny. It affected my people rather harshly. But the Trail of Tears and Manifest Destiny is an entirely different video for an entirely different videographer. There's plenty of material on it. Very easy to find. HR number 34 and HR 117 are both gun registration bills overriding long-standing protections of gun owner privacy. Okay, we've seen a dispute like this in New York and New Jersey, where one paper decided to print the locations of registered gun owners against their will. Now, I shouldn't have to explain this, but I'll break this down into a very simple manner. When you broadcast that information through a form of public media, in this case, a printed newspaper, not only do the good people see it, but you can guarantee those with horrible intentions do as well. Now, what does this mean? This means a new era of criminals that are smarter and have the tools given to them by our very government. Basically, let's say I own a firearm, which I do, and my neighbor does not. All of my neighbors own firearms, so this is hypothetical. But still, let's say neighbor X did not own a firearm. Well, with that printed data in the newspaper, on the internet, on TV, or even in the radio, that lets them know that target X is an easy target. They have no means for self-defense. That also lets them know that me, being target Y, should I be out buying groceries, on an errand, enjoying a local hockey game, or anything of that manner, that there are guns to take from this household. There is nothing good that can come of that law whatsoever. It's a bait and switch provided by our government, by our quote-unquote elected leaders, to hike up the crime rate, to influence other arguments that they may have. I find it rather appalling as a social experiment, and I find it rather disgusting. I am sincerely hoping that no congressman, no senator looks at that and says, this is a good idea. So yet again, go on to congress.org, I will provide the link, and tell your congressmen, tell your senators, tell the president, because it goes to all three, that you don't want to see these enacted. As for executive action, I can only assume that our president is wise enough to understand that any dictatorial style action against the right of the people is ultimately futile and will be met in court vehemently. I talked to my lawyers recently about a different matter altogether. Note, I say lawyers, plural. You have the right to seek the counsel of lawyers. Counsel doesn't cost that much. Counsel is just a small fee. Doesn't mean I'm hiring a lawyer on retainer constantly. I'm not rich. And in asking them several questions, I asked her, if executive order was brought to bear, would any lawyer take up arms? Without missing a beat, she stared me cold in the face and stated, there wouldn't be a single lawyer in the United States who wouldn't want to take that case. The reason being, not only would that lawyer make a considerable amount of money from at least 3 firms who are out to protect you, the American citizen, made up by you, the American citizens, but the fact of the matter is, the lawyer would be making history. Their name would go in the books as a shining example of a legal defense for the people. That's great. Make no mistake, we're at war right now. We're at war for our rights. But here's the beauty of it. We're at a war that doesn't require ammunition. We're at a war that doesn't require what we're trying to protect, our firearms rights. We don't need this. Our war can be won with 2 basic things, hearts and minds. Get out there. Keep positive. We can win this. As for back on the matter of my troll, well, he said I was spouting conspiracy theories in front of shelves with little hearts cut out on them. Yes, my shelves do have hearts cut out on them. I like them. But here's the problem with that. I have only worked on fact. I have never once espoused a single conspiracy theory. And to prove that I have not, let's look at the definitions. Conspiracy. Generally assumed to be the conspirants or acts of others, whether it be singular or group, usually done in a clandestine manner, behind the backs of the usual people who would view this motion in planning. Alright, well, I work in cold hard fact. What I presented you today is fact. It isn't rumors. Theory. This is the big part of conspiracy theory. It is theoretical until proven. Yet again, I work in fact. Simple, logical research. A conspiracy is something done behind your back. I've only posted on these videos what's done right in front of our faces. I just had the gall to step in front of a camera and state, okay, we as a nation ought to do something about this. Anywho, that's enough babbling for now. Thank you for enduring these videos, and I am very proud of you for getting out there and fighting the good fight so that we as a nation can continue to enjoy our rights. Thank you again. Stay positive. I will see you later, America.